Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and welcome to the Season Keepers, the show where the only two people we recommend keeping for the season is us. My name's Matt, aka Clean Sheet Wipeout.
My name's James, aka SK James FPL.
Happy New Year, folks. We're back.
We are indeed. It's good to be back, and
It's been a while.
so yeah, it's been a bit of a roller coaster. These last few games in Sky, we've had some good transfers, we've had some bad transfers.
We've had some really bad
That's
transfers.
really bad transfers. Yeah, we'll get stuck into them.
Yeah, I think you're probably going to get what you're expecting, guys, but obviously pre-Christmas for the Sky Pods that we were doing, James was very happy. I was very angry. I think it's going to be very much the same, and you'll find out later why. But first things first, James. New Year's Day, and it was at the Emirates Stadium that we had Arsenal 1, Manchester City 2.
Yes, we did. I think I captain Cancelo in both
Yeah,
teams.
likewise.
But actually, no, that's a lie. One team, team two, I captain Antonio in the other one. But yeah, no, very decent performance from Arsenal, and we're kind of punished by, arguably, some would say, the referee and obviously Gabriel.
Yeah,
Sort of moment of stupidity, stupid second yellow,
very silly.
just makes things so much harder for them when they were playing so well. They had to obviously take off. I can't remember who they took off. Odegaard, I think.
Yeah, 63rd minute they took off
Um,
Odegaard, brought on Holding.
yeah, to sort of have the defender again. You know, they did play very well, but Man City, yeah, just punished them. Rodri, who probably a lot of people, me included, had taken out of their team because of COVID.
Yeah.
He's now obviously back in, and he's even scoring, which is a bit of a rarity for him.
Yeah, I mean, see, we both spoke previously about holding transfers and stuff, and I think there might be some, there probably are definitely some people out there that have held Rodri, but the moves were there to make in terms of fixture gains. Obviously, when we found out he had COVID, and it's unfortunate because yeah, he's come away with a goal. He's got passing tier two. I think he played very well and obviously scored the winner, which isn't what you would expect. Defensively, City, as you'd expect, there obviously picking up passing tier two for both Laporte and Diaz. I think they've become key in that back line for City in post overhaul. I may well consider going for both of them. Stone seems to be out of it. Obviously, he's not in the squad at the moment. I think he was isolating, but Laporte just seems to have the shirt at the moment, and he's so well trusted by Guardiola.
You say you're thinking of going for both of them. Does that mean you'd have the triple up with Cancelo as well, or would you not have Cancelo?
Potentially, it all depends on the fixtures because obviously post overhaul, I'm not going to go Chelsea at all because they've got the Club World Cup, so they missed the first two games. So the opportunity might be there to really load up, and I think big at the back could be key post overhaul in my opinion. We'll do probably an overhaul pod special anyway. But yeah, I think just looking at where the points are and the later you get into the season, I think the more tense games become. And I think we could potentially see some more clean sheets, and particularly, City are looking to clinch the title there and may well be fighting on other fronts. I think games could be quite tight, and therefore the likes of Laporte and Diaz, you could regularly see 10-pointers, whereas for midfielders, you're probably looking at least one, maybe two attacking returns to match them.
Yeah, and it's the rotation. I think the midfielders get rotated a lot more at Man City than
Yeah,
the defenders. Like it's harder to sort of pick Amaras and have him play 3 games than
yeah,
it is Diaz. Like they hardly get rotated.
agreed. Yeah, and in my current position in Sky, which we'll touch on later, I think I'm going to have to make some bold calls at overhaul to try and make up some points, which is another thing that's quite heavy on my mind. But yeah, I think for now, stick with what we've got. We might see the fixtures develop. I think there might be some doubles coming up, and obviously that could potentially develop some single game days. But yeah, we'll review that at the end. Second game then of the day, in a game in which a few people probably brought in the likes of Son, Kane for. It was Watford nil, Spurs 1.
Yep, and the unlikely goal scorer Davinson Sanchez.
Yep.
Very good pick if anyone's on him. Obviously, the clean sheet, the T is the goal. Obviously, that man Hoiberg, who I no longer own, but he's still doing the business. He's got passing tier two and shot tier as well, which is not the norm for him, but
Nah,
he has even scored a couple this season,
yeah,
so always a decent pick. But yeah, Son seems to be the best sort of Spurs asset at the moment in terms of
yeah.
consistency.
With regards to Hoiberg, I think the whole COVID situation's really fucked us both over, because, and I mean it has a lot of people, but we would have very likely held Hoiberg all the way through to overhaul, and had Spurs
Well,
not,
yeah, exactly.
yeah, and obviously missing those 2 games in a row, we thought, well, you have to move him on, and we did, but we haven't found a way to go back to him, and as you rightly suggested at the very beginning of the season, and I eventually jumped on, Hoiberg continues to pick up points in Sky, and he's a very good midfield asset.
He is, yeah. He just racks up those tiers sort of pretty much every game. Kane will be a little bit disappointing. I imagine people brought him in and captained him for this game, and to not come away with a goal is going to be obviously disappointing.
Yeah,
Um, especially when probably the other alternatives, Antonio, say delivered.
yeah, definitely. And on the other side, obviously Watford. Big news for them was the fact that Dennis hasn't gone to the African Cup of Nations. Um,
Legend.
that shut up. There's all sorts of talk about, whether the club have held him there or whether he's not wanted to go, but I think it does sound like it was Dennis's decision from a thread that I read, which seems to be very well written by someone that understands what's really been going on between Dennis and the international kind of scene. So he stuck around. Obviously, hold off at half time in this game. Not really what Dennis owners wanted to see, but it does mean that he's probably, or he will be around for that single, Watford Norwich, on Friday the 21st. Now, that could still move depending on FA Cup results, because I think if either one of those clubs draw their FA Cup game, that game would have to move, because they'd have to do the replay during that week, or the game days before, which means they couldn't play on the Friday. So it's worth keeping an eye on. But obviously, with all these fixtures, at the moment it's a single, and it's one that I don't have coverage for on my main team. I'm hoping we get some double game week news to maybe find a point to jump on to someone like Dennis. But yeah, for now, I'm a bit worried that I don't own him.
Yeah, I think like at his price point though, as someone that does own him, it is a bit of a pain in the ass. Like if you were to then want to move off of him again.
Hmm.
So I don't know. Like he has played very well, but I feel like you could maybe not get punished by not going for him. But
Yeah, it's a risk with it being a single. I think, what's Dennis's ownership in this game? I'll quickly check it now. I know we're live on the pod, but it's worth checking. His ownership at the moment is 27.5% in the top 1K. So if
that's
he,
quite a bit.
yeah, so if he does get a big hole, then yeah, it could really hurt. But I'm not planning for it properly at the moment, because, like I've just said, that the fixtures could still change, and we're in a bit of flux at the moment.
Very true.
And then the third game on New Year's Day is a game in which you've already mentioned that, I think it was in your team too. You took the punt and you captained Michael Antonio, and paid off. It was Crystal Palace 2, West Ham 3.
Yeah, very happy with the return in Team One, which is my sort of like worst performing team. Um, Antonio obviously, yes, got the goal and shots here.
Good man.
Lanzini obviously had a great game, but no one really owns him.
Nah.
Bowen obviously heavily owned in the community. Shame he didn't get that silly assist that was given in FPL.
Yeah, it was
I
one of
don't
those, isn't
give
it?
those.
No, they don't. There's a good reason for that.
um, yeah, which is I guess fair enough. But yeah, Palace came back into the game, and what's very noticeable is the lack of passes in terms of passing tier for West Ham, and the
Yeah,
sheer volume of passes for the centre backs at Crystal Palace.
yeah. This has become,
97 for Anderson and 85 for Guehi.
it's a real common theme. Like Anderson and Gahey. Yeah, it's Mark Gahey, isn't it? Yeah. That
I don't know how to say his name.
I think it's Gahey, Guehi.
I've
Yeah,
been saying Guehi.
you're probably right. But him, yeah, they both consistently kind of pick up tiers for passing, and I think that's been very much Vieira's approach this season. And I guess depending on the way fixtures fall and stuff post overhaul and budget wise, if you're looking for a budget defender to have, one of those two could be good because yes, they've conceded 3 here, but then they've picked up 3 points for tier 2 passing. So it kind of swings and roundabouts at the end of the day.
Yeah, I've been looking at Guay quite a lot the last few weeks, and I've just never gone there.
No.
I've always found a different move that I've ended up wanting to do. So
Yeah. I think
come
it was
overall, he'll probably be in there because of his price.
agreed. I think it was Paul McNulty over on the 3-for-1. I'm sure he brought in Guehi back when he got a clean sheet and a goal in the first game that he owned him. And
Filth.
there's a reason why Paul's doing so well. It's those kind of moves that he's getting on the right side of. And obviously for West Ham, both me and you are on West Ham assets, but they've got the single now on Wednesday the 12th, say against Norwich. So if you're not already on a West Ham, either in Bowen or Antonio, you're probably going to want to be on one of them because I think there's going to be goals in that game. And
Yeah.
looking at Antonio, he's only 20% owned in the top 1K. Whereas I think Bowen, he's already up to 50%. But even then, that's 500 teams in the top 1K that don't own Bowen and 800 that don't own Antonio. So people are probably going to have to make transfers. And the risk there is the fact that you might move for the West Ham asset there, but they might not be one of the teams that then doubles in the following week. They might have a single. So you're then losing out on fixtures that way. And it's a risk, but one that I'm glad and yourself probably glad to be on the right side of this time.
Yeah, I mean, it is tempting to double up on West Ham, but I think I've got a Bowen in one team and Antonio in the other, and I think that should be enough. You
Yeah.
definitely need one,
One
I'd
of them.
say, because
Yep.
I envisage West Ham winning that game,
Yeah, agreed.
and you could get hurt, but you'd think Bowen and Antonio should feed each other. So hopefully, if you're on one, you should get some points.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But yeah, it's just worth noting. I was almost glad that the Saints Brentford game wasn't that single because it would have meant another move. And we'll come on to a move that we've both made to cover that Tuesday the 11th, which is riled us both up. And if I move on to the second now, see that fixture features this day, but we'll cover first game. Brentford 2, Aston Villa 1.
Yeah, not on any players from this game, but Norgard, obviously a cheap option that people own. He got tackle tier quite comfortably tiered. Well, he got tier 2, which is obviously decent. But Tony owners will be obviously very disappointed. And the return of Danny Ings,
Yes.
goal shots here. Now
Yeah.
could be the time to go for him. Obviously, it would be a very strong differential. He, when on form, can score quite consistently.
Yep, and I believe Villa could be one of those teams that double. Obviously in the upcoming fixture announcements, and there was no Ollie Watkins in the squad this time round. So obviously Danny Ings stepped up. Unfortunate, to be on the losing side, but yeah, like you said, picked up a tidy return, and I very much doubt people kind of gambled on him this time round. But he's always going to be one of those strikers that if he's fit, he will perform. But what Steven Gerrard needs is for him to be fit consistently. And this is something we spoke about, back when he played for Saints, that he'd go on a really good run of 10, 12 games and then he'd miss 6. And it became a bit frustrating. But yeah, he's a very good player on his day.
Definitely.
And then on the other side, obviously, Brentford-wise, Norgard continues to pick up at least one tier 2 every time. This time it was tier 2 tackles, and yeah, he was the closest to passing tier with Brentford, and could be a very good budget enabler come overhaul again. I think there's a few around, but yeah, Norgard seems to be the one that stands out for consistency.
Yeah, I'll be considering him for overhaul. Just a golden cheapie.
Yep. I don't want to move on to the next game because it brings back raw emotions, James, but Everton 2, Brighton 3.
Oh God, it makes me so angry. A couple of transfers I've done recently just really pissed me off, and
Yeah,
this is one of
likewise.
them.
Yep.
The other one being Dallo for Man United. I don't know why I did that. That he hasn't played a couple of games. He didn't keep a clean sheet in the game he did play.
I think,
But this one's even worse.
yeah.
full of optimism. I even slapped the armband on DCL
Yep,
and
likewise.
comes away with a -1 double to -2. It's just heartbreaking, and almost a little bit of me felt like he was going to miss the penalty before he even took it. Just had that sinking feeling. I've
Yep,
had across fantasy games. I've had the last three penalties
missed.
I've missed.
Yeah,
I've had Salah miss one. I've had Lacazette miss one,
and
and
now
now DCL's
DCL.
missed one. I can't take any more penalties. It's heartbreaking. I was fuming. I was just swearing as soon as he missed the penalty. I was fucking livid.
Yeah, because
But
like Brighton were so dominant, and obviously then Everton get the penalty, and I thought, oh, here we go, like DCL, this is your chance. This could like turn the game. And then yeah, when he smashes it against the bar and obviously goes up and over, it's gut wrenching because yeah, it's a -3, which is then obviously immediately a minus 6 for us, and it's just gutted because
it's a huge swing. It's
yeah,
like you go from a potential haul, a good return, coming away with like I don't know, 18
yep,
points or something like that, and
to
we're
minus
now on
two.
-2.
Yeah, it's a joke, and these kind of decisions, like we've mentioned about Paul McNulty earlier, if you're on the right side, brilliant. If you're on the wrong side, it fucking hurts. And
Oh God, it's horrible.
these decisions are what is
Yeah,
it's one after the other at the moment, and it's really costing me in terms of Sky. And if I was to do it again, I'd probably make the same move because that I moved from a Man City, I moved from KDB to Everton because the fixtures are there. City aren't going to double, so they're not going to get any more fixtures added. Everton potentially have these two, and then they could have another two in game week 22, obviously FPL game week 22. Um, and I thought, well, if it's going to be a potential 5 for 2 plus captaincy, I've got to make the move. And it's just so annoying to then make it
yeah,
on the one day you can do it, and then yeah, you get absolutely kicked in the nuts for it.
yeah. Absolutely shafted. Same logic for me, and yeah, it's just painful. And I do it in my better teams,
Yeah,
and it's
same.
just real kick in the nuts.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but what can you do? All we can hope for is the fact that it pays off against Leicester, because I think if people don't have coverage for Tuesday the 11th already, the decision will probably be a Damari Gray or a DCL. I can't see, and I guess you could maybe go Leicester assets because it all depends on the announcement, and this is why talking about this now is tricky because next week it could be a very different picture. You could have Everton only have the one game in the following game week, and Leicester could get the double, and suddenly someone like Tielemans becomes a prime option. But we've gone early because the fixture game was there, and what can you do?
Yeah, it's painful. But you got to go early sometimes to get the
Yeah,
gains, take the risks
yep,
to get the rewards. It just didn't work this time.
exactly, and we'll come on to it a bit. But I still think going into overhaul, we're both still with reasonable transfers, and we're above the average. So fingers crossed. Moving on to a game in which I saw a lot of people captaining one man in particular, and thankfully for me, he didn't go off. It was Leeds 3, Burnley 1.
Yep, I don't own Rafinha anymore,
Neither do I.
and I'm glad I don't because I'd have been expecting quite a bit in this game. I probably would have captained him,
A lot of people
and
did.
yeah, in a 3-1 victory, you'd expect at least a tier or an assist or something, but nothing at all. Dallas was the man sort of hogging the returns, got a goal, shot tier, and tackle tier. That's
It's the Dallas
the
of
stuff of
old. That's
dreams.
the Dallas of
Yeah,
last
that's the stuff
season.
of dreams. I think
Absolutely.
is he a mid now in
Yes.
this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is annoying because obviously last season he was a defender.
Yeah, I
And
thought so, yeah.
these kind of returns were quite common for Dallas. But yeah, recently, I don't, just having a quick look back, I don't think he's not got a double point return at all this season until now. Obviously, suddenly you get 16 pointer. But just quickly back on Rafinha, we were lucky he didn't go off, mate, because he's still owned by 43.5% of the top 1K. So
Yeah, that's a big chunk.
had he gone big, that could have really hurt.
Yep. Thankfully he didn't.
Yeah.
Cornet obviously scoring again. Looks a very good pick, but obviously goes off to AFCON. So one to, I guess, consider overhaul maybe. Could be a decent option.
Yep. And then the final game, and a game in which, again, both of us have moved off of one key man. that key man returns. It was Chelsea 2, Liverpool 2.
Yeah, Mo Salah obviously scoring. Thankfully, didn't do too well. He did get shots here as well.
Yeah, it's 10-pointer. A lot of people captained him for
Yeah,
20 points, and it's frustrating. Again, another one of those things because I moved off of Salah a few game weeks ago now, when obviously the fixtures were kind of there to jump off of after their postponement. Um, and then I moved obviously on, and then I've moved on to DCL. So that's 2 transfers, and really holding Salah through the postponement and just covering this game week with that would have covered it. Thankfully, 50% of the people that did own him don't, so it didn't hurt as much as it could have. But even this 20-pointer, it makes a big difference when you compare that to the fact that DCL got -2. So it's a 22-point swing, and those swings regularly are the reason that I'm about 250 points off of like the top 100 now. So it all adds up. I've got to laugh about it.
yeah, it's painful. But yeah, fair play to those that had this sort of restraint to not cash in on his sort of high price and keep him for his return.
But now they've got a decision to make, because obviously Mane and Salah are both off to AFCON. And with fixtures coming up, at least we know, or likely, that those 50% that do own him will probably have to use a transfer now to move off of him. So yes, the gains are there, but it's 50%, 500 teams using another transfer, and that's the way we've got to look at it.
Yeah, maybe we will now sort of benefit a bit, but yeah, it's interesting.
Yep. And then obviously on the other side, Chelsea, defensively, Thiago Silva continues to be
Keeps doing it.
so greedy at the back, with his passes. Tier 2 passing again. I think he's signed a contract
I
extension.
was just going to say that. Yeah, new contract.
Yeah.
So
Did you see Tuchel's comments about him?
I didn't.
Said he's the Benjamin Button of the Premier League.
Oh wow, he's going to keep playing him
Yeah,
then.
100%. Yeah, and I mean, other than his injury, pretty sure. Yeah, was it an injury? I think for the last game. He's been so consistent and regularly featuring in that back line. So for me, Thiago Silva is again another one of those. When Chelsea come back from the Club World Cup, could be a really good option to move on to, because I think in terms of his price, 8.6 million is nothing for the consistency of, if they keep a clean sheet, he's getting 10 points no matter what. And if they don't, even when they're conceding 2 goals, he's still picking up a 4-pointer. So yeah, I think he's the one asset that I believe that has been monstrous in this so far, that has gone so under the radar. Like, no one seems to be on him. He's only owned by 0.6 of the top 1K. Why? I have no idea. Because if you look at his returns from throughout the season, it's been so consistent. And yet we're all fixated on Rudiger, Reece James, Alonso.
I think it's because we're already on Rudiger, that no one's making that move. They see it as a sideways move, and it's just he's still got low ownership.
Yeah, it's mad. So when Chelsea come back, they're obviously going to have games to make up after the Club World Cup. The defensive double up could be there, but I think that double up would probably, or should be, Rudiger and Thiago Silva.
Yeah, great shout.
That covers off the Sunday fixtures, and we've got one more which pissed me off again, to be honest, in Sky. Man United 0, Wolves 1.
Yeah, Ronaldo captain of both teams. I'm sure it's the case for a lot of people, so I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But we were hoping to obviously make some gains on the sort of 13% that didn't own him.
Yep.
It's disappointing. De Gea obviously had a decent return, considering they didn't even keep the clean sheet.
Yeah, got himself 5 points.
Yeah, which is not to be sniffed at. But yeah, Wolves, I'm just regretting moving De Gea, Sarr to De Gea, because obviously Sarr's got a clean sheet here, and he's just been a great keeper all season.
Yeah.
I don't know. The move may have still paid off, obviously, because I've had a couple of United games in the time that Wolves have only played this one. But
exactly. That's the thing.
Yeah, it's just Sarr or Ramsdale is probably going to be my keeper
Yeah,
at overhaul.
yeah, they're both very well priced, and I think Wolves defensively have been heavily under the radar. Like someone like Max Kilman is so cheap, but none of us are really on him, and he's very consistent. He's 6.2 million. He's already got 93 points this season, and he's only owned by 3% of the top 1K. Players like that, he's consistently 7, 7, 7, 6, 10, 7.
Very good player.
Was it six clean sheets in the last 8 for Wolves?
Yeah, 6 in the last 8, and perhaps I could move Dallo onto him because Dallo was a stupid transfer. It's just I've wasted a lot of transfers recently. I've seen the people using a lot of transfers. I
Yeah,
had a lot of transfers, and I thought they were, I guess it's just the moves could pay off, but yeah, I
yeah,
guess rotation. You've got to think in Sky. It's a big thing.
yeah.
You don't get subs in this game. You're kind of very much screwed over if the manager doesn't pick your player.
Yeah, pretty much. And like you said there about the transfers, I think we all set targets of where we'd like to be at overhaul, and those targets have kind of come down and then come down again because of COVID at the end of the day. And I honestly think if you're anywhere between say 15 and 20 transfers by overhaul, I think you're doing okay because we're beyond halfway. I think I read there's only 14 or 15 game weeks post overhaul. So if you're using say a transfer a game week, that's 15. Add a couple in there, and there will be some weeks where there's no gains to be made, so you won't make a move. So yeah, I think anywhere between 15 and 20, you're doing all right. If you're more than 20, fair fucking play. Like if you've got that by overhaul, you're in a great position depending on your rank. And if you're on less than that, I still think there are ways to set your teams up post overhaul to still capitalize, and it'll be about looking at those fixtures and maybe spreading your assets a little bit further to cover possible captaincies. But like we said at the start, we'll probably do an overhaul special. It's just one of those things to consider. But yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up on the fact of using transfers.
Great points.
And then obviously we've got the 3 fixtures to come. So on Tuesday the 11th, James, I presume we will both be on DCL captaincy.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we just got
Can't go much worse.
No, exactly. Anybody that's still on a Southampton asset, yeah, that could be a good option. You know, I think there's still a few on Prowsey, for instance, could be quite good. Leicester could be key, depending on the announcements of the doubles, and if we've got them before Tuesday the 11th, you never know with the Premier League. I think they're probably waiting for the FA Cup games to go, maybe see how they kind of fall into place, and obviously with Liverpool's COVID situation, things are still developing. But people could quite quickly jump onto the likes of Tielemans if Leicester suddenly have a load of doubles. And on the 12th, yeah, West Ham, like we've said. Like, if you've got coverage, great. If you haven't, I really think you should strongly consider getting it because the last thing you need is, say, Antonio, couple of goals and an assist, man of the match. You're looking at a 20-pointer, double that to 40. That's a massive jump if you don't have him.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, then. Should we quickly look to see? I mean, I don't really want to, but should we quickly talk about how well we're doing or how poorly we're doing at this stage of the game week?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll go first. So Team 1 has actually been doing pretty well recently. It was the team when before we started the last podcast, I think it was like 1.3k.
Yeah.
It's now 654th, which I'm very happy with. It got 57 points this week. City back 3 of Cancelo, Diaz, and Laporte, 4, 5, and 5 points. Bowen and Gray on 4. Antonio getting me 18 points. That's what sort of boosted this team. Very happy with that transfer in. I've got 18 transfers left in this team.
Yeah,
so
seems right.
It's an okay chunk. So maybe I'll keep on doing some wild punts in that team and see how far it can go. And in my other team, it was 120th and now it's 199th. But I think before the last podcast, it may have been about 400th or 500th. It was lower down. But yeah, now I'm 199th. That team also has 18 transfers. Just 36 points this week, which is not good, and that's down to a -2 from Calvert-Lewin, a 0 for Dalot, a 0 for Gallagher, 1 for Rudiger, 2 for Jota. It's not good stuff.
But it does highlight how poorly most people have done this week then. If you've only had a 79 place drop this game week from 120th to 199th, and I mean, given you've just mentioned you've had a few blanks, you've had a minus captaincy. Yeah, you haven't really been hit as hard as what you'd maybe expect only getting that amount of points.
Yeah, I thought I was going to fall down quite a few places, but I'm still in a fairly good position
Yep.
to hopefully
Oh,
bounce
fair.
back. Hopefully it'll be DCL romping away, but yeah, we'll see.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, I'll come under my shitstorm of the team then. Uh, so team one, I'm pretty sure I was around this rank before we stopped podding. 1500th still. Got 42 points so far this week. 21 transfers left in that team. I was at I think 24 transfers a couple of weeks ago. Took a few punts in terms of the likes of DCL, which just really haven't paid off, which is frustrating because I was trying to hold on to transfers as much as I could to really attack after overhaul. I still think 21 transfers should leave me in a good place. Very likely to probably have to use at least one more, depending on fixture announcements. But yeah, I'm hoping 19-20 should leave me in a good position because I'm going to have to make up some real ground after overhaul. And then in team two, I've been having a bit of fun with this because this team two was doing dreadfully. It was way behind my team one. It's now overtaken it. I think just outside the top 1K. But it's only got 15 transfers left because of that. Yeah, so I've tried to make up some ground, taken a few punts, like I've brought in Son, for instance, which, has paid off. But yeah, 15 transfers. So I think I'm covered in terms of the upcoming singles. I've got Watford in there, for instance. I've got West Ham. So I don't really want to make any more moves. I think 15 transfers is the minimum I want to have in that team to at least give it a good shot of a reasonable finish. But yeah, team one is the one that I'm going to try and push forward.
Who's your Watford? Is it Dennis?
Nah, of course it's not. It's Josh King.
Josh King.
Yeah, I brought in Josh King before the AFCON news, which is a little bit annoying because I'd have gone for Dennis, but you never know. It might pay off.
I remember you telling me he was going to go to AFCON as well, and I was like, nah, he
Yeah.
won't go.
Nah, he won't
Obviously,
go.
only joking, but now he actually
Yeah,
isn't going.
fucking joke. Honestly,
No.
I think it's pissed a lot of us off. But what can you do, eh? What can you do? But yeah, hopefully those two teams can make moves because team one, for instance, I've got both Antonio and Bowen.
Oh, yeah,
So
that should benefit you.
so I'm really hoping they both go absolutely mental against Norwich because I don't think there'll be a lot of people on the double up, and I've had the double up of those two for quite a while. So finally, fingers crossed, it might pay off.
Yeah, should do.
I need it to. All right then. Well, we're not sure about podding next week. It all depends on obviously fixture announcements and if there's any fixtures added in. But we'll get back to you on that one. And if not, we'll definitely come back to you following the double game week announcement and what will be probably a massive game week 23 would be the expectation, I think, for the Sky game week title. Until then, I think that's probably it now, James. So it is a goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.
Cheers, guys.